Hello and welcome to the Empowered by Design podcast. I am Dr. Liz, your host. I am so excited for this episode 185 in the final season of the Empowered by Design podcast, with our mission in the farewell tour season to talk about and experience a healthy goodbye. In this episode, I am so excited to be joined by a colleague and a friend, Colleen Pellegrino. Welcome to the Empowered by Design podcast.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you are here. So Colleen and I are going to talk about a little bit about how we met, how we connected, our shared passion and mission for empowering people in general and especially women. And I am so excited for you to hear about the amazing things that Colleen does in her work. So, Colleen, tell us a little bit about what you do and that passion that you have for empowerment.
So, I am a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Pennsylvania, and I own with a colleague group practice called Summit View Counseling, and we've been at it for over 10 years in the Lehigh Valley. And my specialty is I work a lot with women, and especially women going through divorce or separation. And I run a monthly support group for women called Queen of Thyself, which in February will have been running for also 10 years, which is
Oh my
crazy.
gosh, that's
And in the
amazing.
group world, being able to maintain a group for 10 years is crazy,
That is
right?
amazing.
And I also run 3 times a year women's divorce workshops, which is kind of where do I start? It's everything you never wanted to know about divorce, but now have to ask.
Yes,
And I run that with a local attorney and CPA.
I love that. Yes. Oh, so we have so much to talk about. Celebrating 100%, celebrating the sustained energy that you have put into this beautiful resource for women, the monthly Queen of Thyself. I love that. I can't wait to hear more about that. And we are members of a couple of forums on social media where therapists and clinicians, group practice owners share resources and provide referral systems for other people in our area for clients and programs and things like that. I remember the first time I saw your program in that forum, I was like, oh, I love that. I love the name, Queen of Thyself. I love the name of it. And I love what it does for women, the empowerment, right? That's that similar passion that we have. And the divorce workshop is brilliant. I have referred many women there because it is such a very tumultuous, emotionally intense period. And we're going to get into all of that. So hang on to your seats for this amazing episode where we're going to be sharing a lot of resources that are local in our area in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, and also tips for you if you are beyond outside of that area, because Colleen has a lot of experience in running these groups, and it's just amazing. One of the things that as therapists, clinicians, group facilitators, and just human beings, that in our work we have such a privilege to hear the amazing stories of so many brave people who come and share them with us, whether it's individually or in the group setting. That helps. That I always love to recognize with my clients how much they give to me, as well as they come to me for support, but their courage and their bravery and their authenticity is such a gift in just that human exchange of energy.
I would agree with that
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
My first group for Queen was 3 women,
Mm.
and 2 of the women had relationships outside their marriage. That was not the reason for the end of their marriage. It was a symptom of. And
Oh.
another one, her husband had an affair. And I was expecting several other people to even out the group. And then when I realized the people that were there, yeah, I was terrified as a clinician, right? Like this could go so
Yes,
badly.
yes.
And but as women, they were all so able to connect
Mm,
with the loss of themselves in their marriage.
mm.
And so at the end of the group, when they started socializing and realizing their stories, it was fine, and they were accepting of each other and gracious towards each other.
Mm.
And it was because they were, connecting on a more emotional level, and um, their, you know, power or powerlessness they felt in their marriage, regardless of the circumstances.
Yes. Wow, I love that. It is about that ability to create the safety, right? So
Hmm.
I think I echo that sentiment of being like in a space as the quote unquote leader, facilitator of the group, and being like, ooh, where is this gonna, where is this gonna go?
Yeah.
And then really just breathing into what we know, our experience and who we are and our training, to be able to allow and sit with and bear witness to the pain, the healing, the hope that is shared in some of these raw stories that we hear and raw
Yeah.
emotional expressions. Is it's so powerful and lovely.
Yeah, and women can be, so mean to each other, but we
Mm,
can also be each other's greatest support.
yes.
And
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up because I think we are in a time like no other, where it's important for women, for us all, to recognize that we have so much power and we get to decide where to put that power. We can put our power into collaboration and connection and shed the oppressive societal cultural messages that we've received that have contributed to the meanness, like the mean girl energy and the competitive nature, and that false belief that if you have it, I can't have it too. I must take it from you, right? Or put you in your place, right? Like there's that relational aggression that women fall into. And I love that you brought up that duality of how when we as women facilitate spaces for empowerment and authenticity in a way that is collaborative and celebrating our identity and our connective nature. We are designed to be connected. We are designed to be supportive of each other. And too often that tearing down energy is what keeps us stuck. And we're like, why am I stuck? Well, let's lift each other up rather than compete and tear each other down. I love that.
yeah, that a lot of times I say that I'm teaching the lesson: one, I need to hear, and
Mm,
two, we're trying to unlearn things.
yes.
So we're taught to be princesses,
Mm,
which are pretty independent and need to
mm,
be rescued. But really, we need to grow into being queens, where we can reign in our own world
mm.
and make our own decisions, even if it pisses other people off
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah. And not to
Yeah.
have to hold on to the responsibility for the emotional reactions of others, right? It's going
Yes.
to, our actions may disappoint people. It may make people feel angry. And to recognize that we have the power to not take that personally. To, if we are stepping into our power in a way that is authentic, aligned with our values, aligned with our vision, then we can recognize that we don't have to hold on to the responsibility of how people react to that.
Yeah, one of the worst insults you can give a woman is that she's selfish.
Mm,
And um, that's one of the reasons why I picked thyself as part of the group name, is because myself seems too close to that insult.
mm.
We don't allow ourselves to do that. And thyself is timeless and strong.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us more about some of the things that your group does, some of the things that you have seen and how you have just seen it help women.
Sure. So my every group starts with what I call my queen speech, and I talk about what queen means, and it stands for qualified uniquely to evaluate every need of thyself. And as women, we are taught that everybody else's opinion is more important than our own. And that's bullshit. We have more information about
Yes.
ourselves than anybody else because you've been with you since conception all the way through to whatever's next.
Mm.
And so you are qualified uniquely to evaluate. You can consider other people's opinions that know you well. You need to evaluate those things, absolutely. But you are uniquely qualified to decide what is best for you.
Oh, I love that.
And so then we have two rules. One is we don't apologize for stupid shit because women apologize for everything.
Too much.
Having a body, having feelings, having emotions, having priorities for doing their jobs. Like we apologize for everything. And the second rule is that we don't talk poorly about former or current spouses or significant others, not because
Mm.
sometimes they don't deserve it, but because it doesn't reflect well on us and it takes the attention away from our time for us that we deserve in that
I
space.
love that. Wow. So many things packed into that. Yeah, I want to start with the acronym for the Queen, and that real, just invite the listeners to take a breath on that, to really inhale the power of that. Can you say it one more time? The
Sure,
Yeah.
qualified uniquely to evaluate every need of thyself.
Oh, I love it. Yes, 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 yes. So really, in this episode, and in our conversation, just again, we're talking about these programs, and we're also sharing this information that you have designed and you have created and that you offer month after month after month after month for 10 years. And it is powerful information. So beautiful. And so as you're listening, those of you who are tuned in or watching on YouTube, I invite you to really take that in. You are uniquely qualified to evaluate your needs and then act accordingly, right? And act accordingly and put those actions in motion with your values and with what you hold to be true in your life. And I love too that you said it's not we're doing it by ourselves. We're not saying I don't want to hear anybody else's opinion. That's not what you're saying.
No.
You have said we invite feedback, we invite support, we love support, and we're again designed to be collectively supported with each other, but also to evaluate that feedback, right? To evaluate how does that fit in with who I am authentically and what I am striving to live with in that purpose, passion way. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then the rules. I love the rules. So we're pulling apart these three things: the queen definition, the number one, and number two. Number one, don't apologize for stupid shit.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I think too, again, we're kind of taught, programmed, whether that's epigenetically, right? From that's just kind of like in our genes, and also in society that we take a lot, we hold a lot of responsibility for ourselves, and a lot of times we're holding responsibility for others, and that can be really, really heavy.
Yeah, and we minimize ourselves when we take responsibility for other people. We give our power away because when you apologize and it's not appropriate for the circumstances, what you're saying is, I am less than in this moment.
Mm.
And there are other verbiage that you can use to address those circumstances. So if you're walking past someone in the store and you may be too in their personal space and you want to be polite, say excuse me or pardon me,
Yes.
that's more appropriate than sorry,
Oh,
because you have a
sorry.
right
Yes.
to be there as well.
You have,
If
yes.
and often you can say thank you, like thank you for being patient if you're running late. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for listening to me vent. Thank you for whatever, instead of I'm sorry. Because what you're telling that other person is, I am a bother to you,
Mm,
and I feel you think I'm a bother.
right.
And neither are complimentary to the other person.
Right.
So
Oh,
you're not
yes.
just not saying being kind to yourself, you're also not saying I think the best of you to the other person you're speaking with.
I love that point. Yeah, it's a very big aspect of the trust building, right? That
Mm-hmm.
I talk about this in group work as well, and I love that we we both have that passion for the group work, right? I love it because we can see people in action in a different way than they may relate just one-on-one. We get to see them
Mm-hmm.
supporting each other or apologizing to each other or struggling to build trust. And if I say to you, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm crying, on some level, what you just said is I'm doing a disservice to myself, minimizing my deservingness to take up space and for my emotions to be present. And in a relational aspect, I'm saying to you, I don't trust you with my feelings, right? On some
Right.
level. I'm not saying that
Yes.
out loud. We're not saying that consciously, but on some level, we're giving the idea to the other person.
I'm not sure you can handle
I'm not
this.
sure you can handle me. I might be too much, or right. But we do this, and it's a beautiful opportunity to recognize the implications personally, and then the
Instead of saying,
implications
I
relationally.
appreciate you holding space for me.
Yes.
I appreciate
Ooh.
you witnessing my pain. I appreciate you supporting me in this hard time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many little beautiful golden nuggets that you're giving here of the the process, the subconscious processes, the beliefs that it taps into, and then also how do we change it? What do we do when we want to shift our behaviors ever so slightly rather than saying, "Oh, I'm sorry I bumped into you." It's like, "Oh, excuse me." Right? It's the tiniest shift in our language, but it can be so powerful.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love too when we think about the shifts in our language. It begins on some level in a parallel way of how we speak to ourselves. Right? When you say we're apologizing for having a body, we're apologizing for being tired, or we're apologizing for just being ourselves to ourselves first. And so to be able to notice how we talk to ourselves and then say, oh wow, could I shift that in order to be more empowering and kind to myself?
Yeah, I think the first step is often to like be aware of how often you say, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the fact, be like, well, what could I have said differently? And I often tell people, if you wouldn't say I apologize, then don't say I'm sorry,
Okay.
right? Because
Yeah.
it feels differently. It feels different.
Yeah. Say more about that distinction.
Well, if I said to you, oh, I'm sorry I'm late, in some ways it also feels dismissive because it's said so often.
Mm,
Like, oh, you'll get over it. Like, sorry, it's like just this big, right? But if I say, I apologize, like, I really messed up your schedule, I apologize for that, it feels bigger and more acknowledged. So if you're not willing to give that bigger acknowledge to it, then don't say I'm sorry. There's probably something else you could replace it with.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And it also brings up, so we didn't get to rule number 3, but I will make sure we come back to it. Or no, rule number 2,
Two.
not talking poorly about the current or previous spouse. But before we get there, there's a great segue that I had for a question I wanted to ask you in relationship to when women are deciding to end a relationship, or someone else has decided to end the
For them,
relationship,
yeah.
right? One or the other. And there's this aspect of real closely connected to the grieving process, right? The anger and the sadness and the denial and the just like worry and fear and what next and the bargaining and all of these things that can come, right? Because it is grieving and ending to something that you have had or enjoyed or experienced, right? So there's a grief aspect to it. And then in the responsibility piece, there's a very fine line between how we make sense of the whose responsibility is it, right? So, and maybe this is actually too connected to rule number 2, right? Because there, I think women can go both ways. I've seen it happen. It's all their fault, the partner's
Or it's
fault. It's all,
all mine.
or it's all mine. I'm the reason. I'm to blame. And how do you help women navigate that real fine line and also the balancing act of recognizing the shared responsibility for an ending?
Well, I think often I end up at the DBT concept of the word and.
Mm-hmm.
More than one thing can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You could have acted poorly and they could have not been supportive. You could have not been perfect and they were deceitful.
Mm-hmm.
And so it could have been 80% your fault, and that doesn't mean that they didn't have their own faults. And so, and you don't have to have the same story. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to have the same narrative of where things went wrong and why. And so accepting that I have my story and they have their story, and parts of them intersect, but not all of them are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay because we each, ourselves and our partners, need our own understanding of where things went wrong in order to move forward, whatever that forward looks like,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, I love that. How does that then bring in that rule number 2 of not talking poorly about the partner, current or previous?
So what I had found was that people would come into group and it would just be a big bitch session and everybody would talk about who did this and who did that and we never got to the subject of how to support ourselves and how to move forward and how to rebuild uh our sense of self in new circumstances because we were stuck in the um story of what went wrong
Mm.
instead of what do I do now, right? So you
Yes.
kind of have to start with radical acceptance of this is where I am.
Mm-hmm.
You are here, like the star on the map. You are here. And then, and when you're in a group of women that are there to support each other, if we bring all the crap into it, then we're disorganizing our space that is meant to be used to build new beautiful things
Oh,
for us
yes.
instead of focusing on the crap that got you in the room.
Yeah, I love that. I was as you were painting that picture, I like my face went like, oh, right, because I'm imagining, right, we've all been, so we're going to give ourselves grace as women. We've all been in those spaces where it's a bitch session, and
Yeah.
we can get so caught up in the energy of, blaming and this and that, and can you believe that, that it takes us very, very far away from ourselves
Hmm.
and the presence in the room, the presence in the space to create what you said is the beautiful thing that can come on the other side of an ending.
Yeah, and I think losing ourselves is part of why so many divorces
Mm,
happen. Um, and I don't think it's each woman individually's fault. It's I always say I'm happily married today, right? Because most of the women I work with think at, one point or another thought that they were happily married and I don't know what's next, right? So, but as women, we put so much into our relationships, so much into our children that we leave ourselves behind. And when we meet our spouses, they're mostly attracted to us in the independence and interests we have in our intelligence
Mm,
and all of the things that make us individual people. And then we shred those things in order to be in a relationship and a parent, and then wonder why we have difficult relationships or we don't feel connected to ourselves or our partner.
right.
And it's what I call keeping the I in wife. And it's
Mm.
really I find it a struggle for myself,
Yeah.
and I find it in my clients. And that isn't the source of every divorce. You know, there are relationships where circumstances, stresses, life things, deceit, things like that cause that. However, are a lot of relationships that fall apart because they're not connecting to themselves, and so they don't have themselves to share in the marriage.
I love that. Wow. There, yeah, I love you have so many cute little things like the I and wife. It really helps to highlight and symbolize the importance of maintaining space independently for self while also blending those spaces for relationships with others. So having the space for the partner, having the space for me, having the space for our relationships, and if we have children and jobs and in-laws and
And
activities
keep
and
adding to the
passions, and
list.
we have lots of balls and circles going on at the same time. And if we're stuck or feeling really disconnected, we must go back to that I. We must come back to center, to the present moment. I'll say, just for myself, kind of, I know sometimes I get home from work and we fall into pattern, right? We fall into habit. It's like, get home, make dinner, change clothes, do this, do that, do that. And then sometimes I'm just like, ugh, what am I doing? Right? Life feels so like it's passing us by at times. And so for me, one of the things I've been trying to do more recently, just to be connected, not only to myself, but to the earth, to nature, is go outside, like get home, put my stuff down, get comfy, and just spend some time with my feet in the grass, sit and be with the trees, be with the sky, and be able to just take a few breaths of that quiet kind of connection with
Mhm.
me and the universe.
What a great reminder.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so helpful. It's so helpful, and sometimes it takes me a bit because I'll be sitting there like, okay, what am I supposed to be getting from this, right? And it's like, Elizabeth, be present in
You're
this
taking the
moment.
Elizabeth out, huh?
Elizabeth, because Elizabeth, she comes out sometimes when I really need to get serious. Yeah, but it's really that coming back to self and recognizing self in connection with our roots, right? That rooted in nature, rooted in the earth as well, can be so helpful.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more about the resource around the divorce workshop because, right, nobody goes into marriage or enters into a relationship thinking like, I can't wait to throw
Get
all my
divorced.
nasty shit at you. Yeah. Or get divorced and fight over money and fight over the couch and this painting or whatever. Like, that is not, we love here at Visionistas by Design. I love helping people strengthen their relationships, and I love the and there. I'm pulling that in from you, is that sometimes we need to help people call it. Sometimes
Mhm.
it is time, the relationship, we're not doing anybody any favors by staying together for this or for that, or for the kids, or for the job, or for the money, or for the pensions. Like, none of that.
Or for the emotional stress of it.
Right. Right. And so there is absolutely a validity and necessity at times to have a healthy ending. And so I love to hear about the people out there like you who are providing these magnificent services for people to know that it's okay to end it. It is not a failure. It is a learning experience, and that the healthy approach to endings can be something that helps make the time in that ending less painful and more beautiful on the other side.
Mm-hmm. So there is a great national organization that started in California probably 30 years ago, if not more, called Second Saturday.
Okay, I'm
And
writing this
what
down.
and what it is a therapist, an attorney, and an accountant that meet with, it started out as women on the second Saturday of the month, which is where it got its name. It was started by two women, um, to give them information about what their rights are and what the laws are regarding divorce. There used to be a chapter in the Lehigh Valley, and I used to refer people there all the time. And it disbanded in the Lehigh Valley. And then I was talking to an attorney colleague of mine, and I was like, oh, they should have a new one. And then we realized, oh, wait, this is pointing to us, because
Hmm.
if it's a resource that we want our clients to be able to have, our community to have, and it's not there, and we are qualified to fulfill it, then perhaps we should. And, there's always that, oh crap, that means it's me. Like,
Hmm.
if it's not you, then who, right? Well, it's me.
Yeah.
So, we started the workshop, and it's myself and attorney Gwynn Krause and CPA and divorce certified accountant Kendra Walker. And we do it 3 times a year, in September, in January, and the spring. And it is 3 hours. It's for only women. It is $50, and it's to give you a kind of, we've titled it different times, but it really just always comes out to be the Women's Divorce Workshop. But like, the original title was Everything You Never Wanted to Know About Divorce, but now how to ask. Some people call it Where to Start.
Hmm.
you know, um, and it gives you information about the emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce. What are your
Wow.
rights in Pennsylvania? What can you expect with Social Security, with health insurance, with um, what does the court system look like? What is the paperwork like? Because what people don't know is that when you're divorcing, you're actually suing your partner, and the language is very legalese and sounds very harsh. And
Hmm.
even in the most amicable divorces, sometimes when they get the paperwork, it shifts, because they're like, wait, you're suing me?
Hmm.
And it has a different feel when people see, when they
Ooh.
have conversations
Yeah.
themselves and then they get paperwork, it feels different. So we want people to know that beforehand, so that when they or their partner gets paperwork, that they know, I did not write this for you. We did not pick this language based on what's going on with us. I'm not trying to escalate this. This is just the standard paperwork. you know um and people are always worried about, how do I tell the kids, what do I do with the kids? And
Hmm.
as a therapist, you may have this experience too. People call the office and they say, my spouse and I are getting divorced, we'd like to do it amicably, so we need couples counseling for us, and we have 4 children and they all need counseling, and then we want a family session. And I'm like, no. Absolutely not. Why would I add 6 new sessions to an already stressed household?
Hmm.
Like, no. So I always recommend individual therapy. And then if there's one kid you're concerned about, then you can get them therapy. And I often recommend the therapy in school, especially if they're younger, because it's one less appointment on a stressed household.
Hmm.
And so, oh, it sounds like a good idea, but even as a therapist, I was like, oh, don't do that.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's incredible to think of. Um, the dynamics underneath that are really like, I'm hearing that client be like, help me, help me. Well, how do I do this? How do I deliver this? How do I have this kind of meeting with my family to say, things are changing.
Yeah.
And I think underneath the, can you help, it's like, we need this, and this. It's like, okay, how do you have this
Let's breathe and
conversation?
pause.
100%. And it's beautiful. The beautiful thing is that they're wanting to talk about it, right? Because
Mhm.
one of the things we know as therapists and helpers is that all too often avoidance becomes the fallback option, where we're just kind of like not talking about it, and then people are scared and confused and what's happening. And so having some source of conversation or some formula can be really helpful. So I love that you're like, okay, let's make it not adding stress to the system, but let's prioritize what we really need here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's scary, but people have very, you hear things from different people, and the information isn't always accurate about what your rights are and whose name's on what. Whose name's on what doesn't usually mean anything when it comes to a divorce, because it's marital property.
Mm,
And so there are a few exceptions to that. But for the most part, anything from the time you are married to the time you separate, and figuring out a separation date in Pennsylvania is important because of that, um, is marital assets. And so it doesn't matter if you were a stay-at-home mom, you have, it's always stressful to make one household two households.
yeah,
It's going to be expensive.
yeah,
Divorce is expensive. Running two households is logically more expensive than running one household.
yeah,
It's going to be.
yeah.
But it's not always as bad as people think, because they're don't always have accurate picture about what their rights are.
Yeah. And I love that the workshop that you provide for people is such a beautiful gift of clarity and focus, because it can be scary. The unknown is the scare can be scarier than once we have the information. It's like, oh, okay, here it is. It's on this paper. It's written down. Going back to what you were talking about of like the legalese, and how I had a reaction to my body just imagining getting this paper, of having these like harsh words, right? Like you're suing your partner, and then there's big words we don't understand because they're not used in everyday language, and it makes it more confusing. And
Hmm.
so I love that you provide this workshop for people in Pennsylvania to be able to come and sit down for 3 hours. There's no way you and I could put all the information that you give and the support that is given in a workshop like that here in this podcast
Right.
episode. But it is a helpful resource to share. So I will definitely put the links for this in the show notes. There's one coming up
Yeah,
this
September
month.
27th.
Yes. So we, we don't love to celebrate like, yes, you should go to this divorce workshop. It's going to be a blast, right? What we're doing is we're celebrating the fact that it doesn't have to be so scary. It doesn't
Well,
have
you
to
can
be so
have
hard.
information so you can make empowered decisions.
Hmm.
Right?
Yes.
I've had people that have gone and have like, you know what? I don't want to go through all this. Maybe I can save my marriage. Maybe we can
Mm.
have different discussions with
Wow.
this
Oh,
information.
I love that.
You
Yeah.
know, so not someone's like, you're so pro divorce. I am not pro divorce. I am pro supporting people that are going through divorce, especially women.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and I love that I've chuckled before, giggled at your that I'm pro divorce. People think of you as the divorce therapist, and recognizing that we have such a different lens because we've seen so much in our work, that yes, we help people stay together. Right? We have therapy, we have programs. I'm so excited about my new program I was telling you about, the lovers intensive, to help people stay together, to help people grow their relationship, rebuild the trust after some kind of betrayal or deceit or something, or just a hiccup that comes in the marriage. It's like, yeah, we need to rebuild. And that can be really scary. we have programs for that. And we have programs for if it's time to end it and how to do it in a healthy way. And there's not just one way to do it in life, but we have the options to help you in whatever avenue comes to be the one that's for you at this time.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
love that. Wow. So yeah, we will definitely put the information for that program in the show notes. Tell us how we can find you, your website.
Website, absolutely, summitviewcounseling.com. Workshop is September 27th from 9 to 12. You can go to summitviewcounseling.com, or you can call the office at 610-351-3477 and register. We give the location once you're registered. Some of it is safety
Love
concerns.
that.
And the Queen of Thyself group meets the third Saturday of every month from 9 to 10:30 at Summit View office, and we have coffee and snacks and good conversations. The next one is next Saturday, the 20th, and we're talking about finding your voice,
Ooh,
and that is $20
okay. Love that.
to attend.
And to be clear, these are two separate programs. So the Queen of Thy.
Two separate programs. A lot of people in each go to the other,
Mhm.
but it's not a requirement, and you don't have to be divorced or going through a divorce to go to Queen of Thyself. The support group, it's there as women to remind us that we all need to unlearn how to be princesses and
Mm,
rule as queens in our own world, and figure out how to be our best selves today.
yes. Oh, yeah. And it just, again, I cannot stress enough the healing power of connection and community that women can foster and cultivate.
I love when I leave group after I've cleaned everything up and put the chairs back and everything, and people are still out in the parking lot talking. And I'm
Yes.
like, go get coffee. I love this.
Yes.
Part of
Yes.
the reason I started group was
Yeah.
because I would be in session with Liz and I'd think, oh, her and Marie would really connect, and I would love to have them go for coffee because they could really support each other. But with privacy laws, I can't do that.
Mhm.
And so, with the barrier of HIPAA there, which is perfect, it belongs there, I can hold a group, and then the participants in the group can exchange phone numbers. And I've heard of group members getting together and they've had, text messages with supporting each other. They've gone on wine tastings, they've gone
Mm,
for coffee, they've gone for
I
breakfast.
love
So
that.
it's a way of connecting with people, because as you go through different things and different times of your life, you need new and different supports.
Yes.
And so it's a good place to meet other women that are going through stuff and are looking to feel more empowered.
I love that. Yeah. Such a beautiful opportunity for that connection of women. And there, I love that you made the distinction between therapy groups are different than support groups, right? Because there is that boundary around them in therapy. Similarly, we have a monthly women's circle here where I have people, okay, write down your contact info, take a picture of it, connect outside of here, because this happens monthly, but we know there's a lot of stuff that happens in between the months. So
Yeah.
if you are out there listening, and even if you're not in Pennsylvania, there are places like this where you live, right? You can find them on social media. You can find them by going on psychologytoday.com and typing in, support groups in
You
your
can even
area.
call a local counseling office and say,
Yes.
you know, are there any women's groups in the area that
Yeah.
you know of?
Yep.
Because if you called my office and they said, do you have a grief group? I'd say no, but I can call you back with a list of grief groups, because
Yes.
there's other groups in the area, but we don't hold that. And if you called the place that had the grief group, they would say, oh, you're looking for a women's group? Let me give you the number to Summit View, and or to Dr. Liz, and you could join one of their women's groups.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
counselors connect with their colleagues, and sometimes they can be the door to find services, even if it's not the right place there.
Yeah. And that's kind of going full circle to how we connected, was at a connecting event, right? It's so
Yeah,
helpful as therapists, counselors, helpers to be connected with others, because we can't do all of it, but it's so wonderful to know, like, I don't have that, but I have a number for you, or I have a
right. I have a
place where you can, I
resource,
have a resource
which
for you.
makes us look good too,
It
because it's
just
like, oh, Dr.
feels so
Liz
good.
was so helpful. She sent me over to Colleen's group.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, well, thank you so, so much for joining us. This has been an amazingly empowering episode. Thank you, Colleen, and
You're welcome. Thank you
yes,
for having me.
and thank you for all that you do for women and families, right? Because it's all connected. So thank you,
Hmm.
and thank you all for listening. I invite you, please share this episode, even if you are not struggling or needing the services we talked about today. That is the power of connection, in that we are able to provide connection and resources and share the love with the people that we love. And so I invite you to share this episode with someone in your life who may benefit from the information and the inspiration that we shared here today. So bye-bye.
Bye.